Hello and welcome once again to Crush Your Mountain. I am Henry Gaskins, your host for this very special show, and I'm really thrilled to have you with us today. Let me tell you why. As you may have noticed, I haven't been posting for a good while. Here's the reason. We were in the process of relocating. So I'm no longer located in the city of Oaks, Raleigh, North Carolina. I have moved to the city or the town of Crepe Myrtles, and that's called Angier, North Carolina. Beautiful town, beautiful people, and I'll be doing a whole lot there in the surrounding areas. And there will be some events coming up that I'll let you know a little bit about, soon enough. In the meantime, this episode was recorded while I was in that transition phase. In fact, it was recorded at my sister's house, so it looks a little bit different. That also said, my guest for this episode is Tom Palladino. Now, Tom Palladino is the purveyor and promoter of something called scalar right. What that is something that is a bit different from what most people understand as being simply just a measure of light. He's saying it's a different type of energy. He's saying it's the light from the stars. He says that it causes all sorts of healings that he performs, and he heals individuals all over the world. Now, whether that's true or not, I'll leave that for you to decide. My decision on this, my take on this is this. He claimed to send me some sort of a directed energy based on a photograph that he had. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. And to be honest, if you notice, I have as much hair or less than the last time you saw me. So hair didn't grow. Any other benefits that I have is due to my own activities. He has claimed, and you'll hear him make me claim, that he actually treats individuals from a distance in a hospital in India. But he also admits that could simply be the placebo effect of those that claim to have benefited by this. So if you go online, you can find him. And you can also find articles about his work and what he does. And not all those articles are flattering, to say the least. That said, please enjoy this interview with an open heart and open mind, and consider the possibilities that not everything out there that glitters is gold. And not all individuals, no matter how well-intentioned they may be, have something that will benefit you. Tom Palladino, here on Crush Your Mountain.
Tom Palladino, welcome to Crush Your Mountain Wellness.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here, sir.
I was really interested in your use and of scalar light, and you're being a researcher into this very unique field. Tell me something. How did you become interested in scalar light and its potential applications?
It's been my long aspiration, my lifetime aspiration. I started to read the work of Nikola Tesla. The great scientist Nikola Tesla was the first man to experiment with scalar energy, what I call free energy of the stars. So it started 50 years ago as a dream. As an avocation. I wanted to learn more about this new branch of physics. And Nikola Tesla, the great scientist, was my impetus.
Okay. So when did you yourself move into the study of science? Are you a physicist? Do you have any formal education or training in the energetic fields, as it were?
Yeah, I've had a classical education, as I describe it. I spent probably 13, 14 years at the collegiate level. But therefrom, all of this is by way of autodidactic effort on my part. I am self-taught. And why? It's groundbreaking. I am a groundbreaking researcher. This has never been done before. I'm trying to introduce a new technology, a new, if you will, branch of physics to the world. So it is groundbreaking. I'm proud to say that I've been at it now for 50 years and I've made considerable progress.
Well, can you explain what scalar or scalar light is and how it works? I mean, you are now, essentially the world's foremost expert. I have heard of others, but tell us, what is scalar light? How does it work?
It's the free energy of the sun and the stars. It's that simple. And this free energy, if you will, offers great prospect to the world. Imagine if we can tap the energy of the stars, that's what scalar energy is. It's free, clean, no carbon footprint. Imagine what that means for mankind, that we finally have abundant, superabundant energy without any pollution, without a carbon footprint. That's where I'm going with this. This will change the social order.
All right. Now, Tom, look, a couple of things. All right. I respect your assertions, and I'm always open to new things. And it's not as if I'm not unfamiliar with the concepts of energy that's all around us. There's all sorts of things, the Higgs boson particles, the laws of quantum physics itself describes dark energy and dark matter. But now, let me ask you this: have you done experiments that actually power machinery or of any sort so that it can, that we can actually bring that to the world?
Not yet, not yet, but I'll demonstrate. At least I can power a light bulb. This instrument is a scalar energy instrument behind me, and it can power a light bulb. Now I'm trying to develop this that I can magnify that and I can power 1,000,000 light bulbs. So I'm working on that technique. Free energy is, if you will, still 3 to 4 years in the making. Presently, I'm working with quantum healing, and that is an established practice. That is something that I've perfected.
Okay, quantum healing. Now that's a bit interesting. Okay, that's a very popular word these days. Everything these days is quantum. I mean, I saw quantum jello the other day. I have no idea how that works. So if you don't mind, talk to us a little bit now about the idea of quantum healing. How does that come into play?
Yeah. Okay, let's define these terms. Quantum healing, scalar healing. What am I referring to? I'm not working with the electromagnetic spectrum. If you're quantum, if it's scalar, it's a different energy. It's a different dimension. So there's two energy fields, an electromagnetic and a scalar energy field. I work exclusively with scalar energy. Now, why is that important? It is non-physical intelligence. There's no electrons involved. There's no chemical reaction involved. So it is indeed a new branch of physics. It's non-physical physics.
All right, but well, when you say physics now, okay, you're bringing in calculations that can
Yes,
that you see what I'm saying? So yeah,
you're right.
so you know, and then again breaking it down to that word quantum. Okay,
Yes,
basically, quantum means measurable on a very small
yes,
scale.
correct.
So, at what point now have you been able to actually bring into focus um, measurements,
Right,
uh, calculations, etc.?
right.
I just had the chance to see um, the movie about the great scientist Oppenheimer, and he sat there and just kind of wrote things out on a blackboard, and you'll see various physicists, doing the calculations to prove the existence of black holes, which we've never seen, right? We've never physically seen a black hole, but calculation says they're there. They've done physics calculations that prove that there's something called an Oort cloud, all right? I don't recall anyone actually taking a picture of it, but it is there. So, give me some insight. So, help me to understand how this plays out in your world.
Yeah, that's a great question. So to be clear, this energy is omnipresent. It's the energy of the sun and the stars. Now, with that, I don't believe there's a basic unit. So how can you measure something of an infinite value? You cannot. If there was a value that I would ascribe to it, probably be phi, phi, the phi value, which is a transcendent number, a number that never ends. So if there's any way I could start describing scalar energy, it's really by way of the golden mean, the golden proportion. But to be clear,
Are you referring to now? Are you referring to the golden ratio, essentially
yes,
the Fibonacci sequence?
yes, exactly. And the reason I say that, there's a major groove and a minor groove to scalar energy, in which the major groove is 1.618 times the length of the minor groove. So the Fibonacci sequence, the value of phi, 1.618, is embodied within the major groove to minor groove ratio. Now that's the only, if you will, measurement, that's the only mathematical value that I can ascribe to this so far. If this energy is
Okay.
everywhere, that's stellar energy, that's the energy of the stars. It's everywhere. And hence, if it's everywhere, you cannot measure something of an infinite length, of an infinite dimension. But I can
But if
measure
you,
the difference between the major groove and the minor groove.
but if you can't measure it, okay,
Yep.
how do you harness it?
Yeah,
How do
that's
you
good.
know that you're giving? How does you know that you're giving X amount? Because I was receiving the emails from you,
Yes.
and it'll say I'm getting X amount of units of scale of light.
Right.
So now, how does one
Exactly.
measure something that you can say is really, if it, you cannot quantify it, and yet it's quantum.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. It cannot be quantified. There is not a value that we cannot measure it, plain and simple. I observe that this environment with these instruments is a different environment than that of electromagnetic energy. And what I see play out, and if you will, the physics of this type of instrument is entirely different than the physics of electricity. So there's two different sets of events. Scalar events are not electrical events. So I would say that there's two different realities driving those events.
But it sounds like you're saying that we're kind of operating in an electrical universe. There is that theory that the universe essentially is electrical.
Yes,
That is only theoretical. That is not necessarily the prevailing
you're right.
scientific perspective. So again, you know, it just seems a little unique. And I know you brought in some other references in terms of how this thing heals individuals, examples of individuals that have been healed. So maybe you could share some of those success stories or testimonies of individuals who
Okay,
experienced these
by all
things.
by all means. Now, again, when I work with this instrument, it's not electricity and magnetism. How do I work with this instrument? I never work with people. I work with energy fields, only energy fields, including photographs of people. This is my photograph that has my energy field. So to be clear, I do not work with people, which is their biological field. Okay, I work with their energy field, their intelligence by way of a person's photograph. Is a significant difference. And in
So we're
so doing,
moving. And Tom, man, I love you because I love your passion about this. But we're moving into something that a lot of people, a lot of my viewers would say sounds a little bit hokey. And I'll tell you why. Um, Realistically, you're saying you have an energy field that emanates from the photograph.
right,
Are we not taking into consideration the fact that the various materials that makes up that photograph have their own energy field that
of
are
course.
apart from? So how do you differentiate one
Yep,
from the other?
that's a good point. So my photograph has my energy field, and there's a piece of paper that this is printed on that has a separate energy field. Well, I'm also treating that piece of paper. Now, when I'm working with this piece of photograph, it not only identifies me, soul, mind, and body, but it also identifies everything in the background that's been photographed. And it also identifies the piece of paper or the tree that comes from this photograph. Okay. So to be clear,
Does it? So does it print out and document all those things, or those differences, so that we can say, okay, here's this photograph, and this is how Scale Light has operated in
yeah,
this capacity.
yeah, there's no printout because nobody's taken this work as far as I have. And I don't know of any way to decipher the information accurately, objectively on this piece of paper and print it out, provide data. This is a new data system. Again,
So
we're
then
not
what you're, so then what you just told me, and I'm not, and I, yeah, so what you're just saying to me, right, is there's all of the differentiations that scalar light make is basically your assertions and assumptions as to how this thing works, if in fact it does.
exactly, exactly. Nobody's either proven or disproven my work. So it has to, if you will, revolve around my theories. That's how cutting edge my work is. I have no peers, plain and simple. Good
Mm,
point. Good
that's
point.
interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So talk to me about some of the people that you've healed.
Okay. Well, again,
You
working
don't
with
have
a
to. You don't have to name names.
now, okay, working with photographs, I have been working with a clinic in Delhi, India. This is a clinic, an HIV/AIDS clinic. It's by the name of Om Prakash HIV/AIDS Clinic.
Mhm.
And with this photograph, I can detect the HIV virus as a signature. All disease has a signature. Everything has a signature. So by taking a person's photograph from Delhi, India, I can pinpoint each individual who has an HIV signature and nullify the HIV virus.
So now, so you expose this thing to scalar light
Correct.
that cannot be measured, quantified, nor harnessed,
Right.
and it goes in invisibly
Yes,
and
it is invisible.
differentiates these different individuals, different energy fields off of a photograph,
Yes,
and each individual is treated by means of this, by means of your exposing the photograph to this light.
that's correct. That's correct. But to be clear, it's the informational field. It's not the biological field. And the reason I say it's a higher order, we're working with non-physical intelligence. We never work with people. We only work with the energy fields of people.
So on the one hand, Tom, okay, I will say that to be, and I'm just saying that it does sound a bit hokey to say the least on that end. On the other hand, what I can give you is the fact that there have been some experiments done whereby particles on one end of the planet were changed and the particles totally unconnected
Yes,
on another end of the planet responded in time in turn.
yes, yes.
Okay, so they do have those, and then there's that. But in the case of the double blind experiment, I'm not sure you've heard of that one, or the double slit experiment.
Double slit. Yes.
Um, the the interesting thing with that is that it's only when the particles are observed. And by the way, friends, if you're curious about that, I'll have a link in the bottom as to in terms of what the double slit experiment is. It took place several decades ago. That kind of brought about the whole quantum physics concept and man's role in observing
Yes.
the material universe. So now, when you're observing the operations of this, is it happening? If you're not observing it, does it happen? How and really, can you even know that it is happening?
Yeah, very good. The double slit experiment proved that consciousness, human thought, could affect the outcome. I agree with that. Now, with my
Mhm.
instrument, I believe my thoughts play into this and that they help support the outcome. But nonetheless, the energy is primal, and I cannot override the primal force. If this is a fundamental energy, I say it is, whatever I ask this instrument to achieve, it will. Nonetheless, my emotions, my beliefs, I think will factor into that outcome. But working with a primal force, you have to follow the laws of nature, and the laws of nature cannot be broken.
That is true. The laws or principles of nature are you have to operate within them for them to work. That said, you're telling me that you have instruments that are utilizing something that you cannot measure,
Correct.
that we cannot prove its existence,
Correct.
but your instrument somehow harness that. Um, be it material or immaterial in terms of the universe. that just doesn't add up in terms of actually healing individuals.
Yeah.
So and India, India can be a unique place in terms of practice. I'm just saying, I've kind of I've come across a lot of the practices in India. There are some things there that I have tremendous and deep respect for because of how it operates. But even then, you're seeing scientific evidence of things. Is there, as a researcher, have you submitted any sort of papers or anything for peer review or at least review?
Yeah.
Let's say, because you say you have no other peers.
I have no peers.
So, right. So have you actually submitted it to individuals that can look at it and say with an objective view and say, hey, we've got something here. Let's look into it.
I do. And for the most part, it's been met with silence. For instance, this is one of the test results, a PCR test results from the clinic in Delhi, India. We have many test results that people vouch. It's not my, if you will, vantage point, but people say they no longer have any viral load for HIV. So we have many test results on our website, but those test results cannot be proven because we're not working with a body of knowledge of medical science. We're not working with Newtonian science. My results can only be proven by scalar physics.
And one can easily say that the placebo effect comes into play, and any active action might have healed that person. If I took this bottle of water and told them that this water was a substance to heal that individual and kind of rubbed it around the head a few times, okay, under the right circumstances, their bodies might respond, their immune system might respond, and suddenly they're healed. Okay, but that's not necessarily scalar light. That is the placebo, and they're responding. So how do we know? You see what I'm saying? How do we know that is something that is not at play here?
It is at
other
play.
than your belief.
It is. I'm sure it is at play, and I'll tell you why. You cannot negate the placebo effect. But I will say this: I've also been able to work with infants, young individuals that are not of the age of reason, or animals, and I still have favorable outcome with infants or animals.
That's interesting.
So the placebo effect has to be factored in. Yes.
That's interesting. So how can people experience or access the scalar light? How can they have that scalar light experience therapy for themselves?
Yeah, I'm going to ask people. Our website gives away 15 days of free session, which is scalarlight.com. I want to prove this to the world, and I'm open to that, and I'm open to suggestions. So on the website, anybody can upload their photograph. You can include your family with their permission. Email us your photographs. I'll treat you for free for 15 days. It's a unique process. Then you decide how you feel.
Okay. Now, full disclosure. Tom and I had a discussion about this a while back. And indeed, I did upload a photograph. Okay. And I also included one of my daughters, unbeknownst to her. In neither one of our cases have we had any experiences. Okay, I was at least hoping my hair would grow back, at least get a buzz. but that I'm going to say, but that's not to say it doesn't take time to work or things like that. We don't know. But to this point, I haven't had any particular changes in my metabolism for the better, other than what I already do for myself. But indeed, those that are interested, I'm not going to discourage individuals from checking things out for themselves. I never tell people just take my word for it. Or in order, I tell people don't listen to anybody. The idea is, hey, each individual is in charge of their own health. and wellness. They have to make decisions, informed decisions for themselves. They have to do the research and try things out. So it's amazing to have you on to talk about this technology. It may very well be groundbreaking. In 20 years or 10 years, who knows? We may have free energy. We may, we may. I don't know.
Right.
We may light up pyramids. I don't know these things. You see, but it does have it does bear some hard scrutiny.
Yes, sure.
And I think that, and go ahead.
I would welcome that, because what I'm introducing, if this is correct, is a new way of living. It's free energy.
Mm-hmm.
But sadly, here's the drawback. There's only one Tom. I'm the only researcher who's pursuing this avenue right now that I know of. I don't know anybody else who's made these public declarations. So it's we're going to have to just look at it through that angle, through those optics. It's my work.
Have you thought about bringing on a mentor or individuals that you can train and then and to do the research and sort of turn them off into the world? That way,
Sure.
You strengthen numbers, your work can continue, and maybe at some point, this thing can become recognized by the scientific community.
I welcome that. But who's going to want to dedicate their life to this, Henry? That's the problem.
Well, you did. You did.
I did, and I'm the exception. There's not many Toms out there.
And are there people? If there are people who have benefited from your from your work,
yeah,
are there? Don't you think they would have a relative or somebody that would say, "Hey, let me jump in with Tom," and at least part time, let's do something. You see what I'm saying? Because obviously, you have something that can motivate people, and like you said, there's only one Tom, and despite your youthful appearance, I get the impression that you're not 19, so you may not have as many years, right?
I don't.
So why not create your legacy so that this technology can be brought to the world?
Yeah. Point well taken. And those of you in the listening audience, if you want to devote 30, 40 years of scalar energy research, come see me. Let's go.
You've got to jump on them because you've done that research, and they can jump in now and kind of shorten the scale. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
They can shorten. So it would be really interesting to see that.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have? What advice do you have for individuals interested in learning about scalar light, learning more about it and its potential benefits, and maybe partnering with Tom Palladino?
Yeah. Well, read about Nikola Tesla, especially later in his life when he was working with free energy. And that's where I've taken this. Where Tesla left off, I'm starting. So I'm trying to reintroduce Tesla's work. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, this will be the avenue to free energy, or relatively inexpensive energy. There's so many applications of this energy. This energy will find its way in the fabric of life. This energy will make obsolete much of the technology today. It's a superior type of energy.
There have been other individuals who have come up with various forms of alternative power, and they paid the price for it.
Right.
Do you fear for your life?
No, God protects me. But I'm glad you mentioned that. Many people, this is suppressed technology. Many people have tried to introduce free energy or inexpensive energy, and they were assassinated. That's a good point, and that's a very real threat. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I appreciate your insights, your passion, the work that you've done over the years. And I just wanted to ask you one more question that I ask all my guests, Tom. Thank you so much for being with us. Tom Palladino, what does it mean to you to crush your mountain?
I'm very realistic, Henry. Every day I have 2 or 3 goals, and I meet those goals. How do I crush my mountain? By being disciplined and by being logical. Every day I come to my research, I learn something, I have goals. And that's it. That's a summation of goals. That's a summation, if you will, of this progression of goals and objectives. That's how I crush my mountain.
Very well said. Very well said. I really value the insights that you brought today, and I think that anything that can help individuals is something that can be pushed forward. Again, we encourage all individuals to look into things. Don't just take things at face value. Do your research, examine things from all angles, and see what can help you. In the meantime, take some time for yourself, friends. We have individuals like Tom at Palladino, who has a unique perspective on life, who brings a unique energy and gift to society. And we want to just invite everyone to, again, make your doctor your coach, your teammate. Do your research and look up information. And as I always tell everybody at the end of the show, don't just climb a mountain, crush through it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
And we're done. How do you feel?